Russia seems to have forgotten about its red lines around long-range ballistic missiles because, according to U.S. intelligence, Iran has been selling missiles hand over fist to Russia. Just why are they choosing to do so? And is this a sign that we really shouldn't put a lot of stock in Russia's red lines? I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. Let's talk about it. Okay, so Iran sent a bunch of short-range ballistic missiles to Russia, according to the Wall Street Journal. Wall Street Journal generally citing unnamed U.S. and European officials, again, usually code for U.S. intelligence and State Department. Washington has felt it needed to inform its allies about Tehran's move to put those ballistic missiles into Russian hands, though the exact type and number of missiles headed to Moscow were not specified. But the general report from Reuters that Russia might get hundreds of the FAT 360 short-range missiles and other ballistic missiles from Iran, right? So when we look up the FAT 360, we could see what kind of capacities Russia is obtaining here. This is a fairly workhorse type of ballistic missile. It's a short-range satellite-guided tactical ballistic missile announced in 2022, right? Now, there are rumors that as of August 10th, Russian soldiers are actually visiting Iran to train on the FAT 360, following an alleged December contract the two sides signed. But it's supposedly a shorter version of the Fatah family of SRBM, short-range ballistic missile, which is code for a ballistic missile with a range of less than 1,000 kilometers. So, of course, they are saying this has a 30 to 120 kilometer range, so much smaller, but it would be launched with the speed of Mach 3, connect to satellites for rapid homing in on their targets at a speed of Mach 4. The important thing is the speed. That's what kind of makes it appealing, is that this is going to launch, it's going to travel those 19 to 75 miles, and then it's going to land, the warhead's going to land very, very, very fast. And this is a problem for air defenses, as ballistic missile air defenses, they sometimes can get lucky and take out these warheads, but it's very common to see these kind of warheads be too fast to interdict. And the problem with a range of just 75 miles, let's see if I can get this in kilometers. You give me 120 kilometers. So you can see here, this would allow Russia to launch from some of its positions over the border in, let's get this here for you. Right, this would put all of Kharkiv in range from Russian positions in Shebkino. It would also, troublingly, let's see, could it put Kiev in range? It appears possibly. Here's Kiev, and I don't know what that is. And as you can see, yeah, comfortably putting Kiev in range of these Russian weapon systems. Again, you can see here, right, if they're willing to just pop it into there. So they themselves will be in some level of danger. What on earth am I looking at? I was counting on these guys to have something interesting. And then, of course, you've got Lviv. Could they reach Lviv with these, quote, short-range ballistic missiles? Unlikely to reach Lviv, but still very, very, very troubling. And it enables a lot of targets to make their way to these. It puts a lot of Ukrainian targets in range of Russia. Now, the thing that makes these appealing, and likely the reason Russia wanted them, is that they are small. The size is part of the appeal. You can see that they can fit comfortably. That's not even a full-sized truck. This looks like a standard commercial hauling truck, like a standard commercial Peterbilt. And you can see here, it's actually got this cover that'll slide over it to an observing satellite. It would likely appear almost indistinguishable from a standard cargo truck. And again, as we've talked about in this conflict, one of the things that is pervasive is that there are no super weapons, right? Anything that's so expensive you can make less than about 20 of them, they're simply too vulnerable. They don't live long enough on the battlefield. Cheap weapons in large numbers are the way to go. So The fact that this is their cheapest, smallest, simplest ballistic missile likely means that that is why Russia wants them, right? Now, here's what bothers me. G7 countries expected to condemn the delivery and voice concerns to governments in the Middle East through diplomatic channels. And Iran is believed to be exchanging these missiles for modern air defense systems from Russia as it prepares for a possible war with Israel. The delivery is already underway. But here's the to me the real takeaway, right? And before we talk about the real honest to goodness takeaway here, I want to mention that if you want to see some of Ukraine's advanced drone tech being used on the battlefield, I can't show it to you on YouTube. YouTube's terms of service just won't let me show real combat footage of any kind. That has all been moved to combatvetnews.com. There are dozens of videos on Combat Vet News, uncensored, where you can actually watch the war evolve in real time. We just took a look at some cutting-edge drone tech from the Ukrainians, including, no kidding, a drone that AK-47 drone, a air-to-air combat drone, a thermite drone, real on the battlefield use, the most advanced stuff we've ever seen. And we do a deep dive analysis onto how it's being used and why. But that's only for members. So if you want to support the channel, keep me independent. Unlike most YouTubers, apparently a lot of commentary YouTubers are for sale for the Russian government. Not me. I have you guys. So support me. Any one of those tiers gets you access, plus weekly Q&A, shout-outs, all the other stuff. Link is in the description. Okay, so I want to point some things out. First off, red lines in the Russo-Ukrainian war. Russia's red line. As you could see, the red lines are just almost constant. They have not been... right? As you can see, here is the red line, and here is the date it was, quote, crossed. Ukraine joining NATO... NATO military infrastructure deployed in Ukraine, not been crossed. No introducing a no-fly zone. No direct foreign intervention in the war. Look at these hundreds and hundreds of other lines with no consequences. This is actually important because, again, the Western red lines, much smaller, one of them is do not force any country, any independent country, the right to apply to join NATO, right? And they've said no chemical weapons. It has been broken by the Russian use of tear gas, no consequences. So, this is something to point out because Russia has said repeatedly they have their own red lines. They say, Sergei Lavrov, this is today, actually. Sergei Lavrov says, don't joke about Moscow's red lines in response to reports that Washington may provide Ukraine with long-range weapons that could strike deep in Russian territory. Lavrov said Americans have already stepped over the line that they set up. They're joking about our red lines. Don't joke about our red lines. They know perfectly where they are. Guys, this is like the middle school kid who goes, don't make fun of my hair. The louder he yells about it, the more you're going to make fun of his hair, guys. So this is, of course, Lavrov being just his typical weird, long-faced self. I mean, look at that guy's face, dude. Damn, bro. Like, Putin has Botox. See? This is a man with good Botox. This dude, my brother in Christ, do something about the jowls. So, again, he's saying, what bothers me is that he's like, listen, don't provide them long-range strike capabilities. Only we can have your enemies provide us long-range strike capabilities. Only Russia gets to have them. Guys, that's not how war works. It is completely reasonable to sit there and go, hey, if you don't, like, why would you not expect your opponent to also be able to use these things? Right? Like, that's like saying, if Russia used nuclear weapons and then said, if U.S. uses nuclear weapons, it's a red line. It's like, bro, the red line is gone. If you wanted a prohibition on long-range weaponry, you yourself should have not used long-range weaponry. Once you did it, all you did was take all bets off. Same with invading Russian sovereign territory. My guys, you own 17% of Ukraine. You're not allowed to seethe about this. You're not allowed to see about Shipkino, okay? That's just how it is. Or Sudza, or whatever dirt hole territory sits on the Ukrainian border. Anyway, guys, that's really all I had. Just want to point this out so that when you see future Russian red lines, you can scale them with the appropriate level of intent. Please subscribe. That makes a difference to the channel. It tells the YouTube algorithm that I'm not one of the Russian shills. I'm not one of those crooked creators. Anyway, thanks to Colonel tier members, particularly Bill Collier, Robin Colburn, Gaius Martin, Gina Cuesta, Chris Gorsuch, Friends, Carius, AL90, and all of our Lieutenant tier members. Could not do this without you guys. You guys are the ones who make this whole thing possible. Thank you so much, and I will see you guys in the next one. Cheers.